We're live, Connor Murphy.
Are we live? Okay. I'm going to be checking it right now. We'll see if we're live.
Yep.
There's
Make
probably
sure
a
you can
slight
see the
delay.
videos live, and so people come in, and then, how about you tell them what the topic is first.
Okay. Well, this is very exciting. This is episode 1 of the Yes HumpHer podcast. So this was inspired by, of course, Adam 22's No Jumper podcast. Recently, there was quite the controversy. He let his wife film an adult scene with another man. It went extremely viral, and I was like, man, I really need to do that, you know? That'd be fun, just for the views, just for business purposes, of course. And so, today, here we are. I'm here with It's Katie Fit. It's Robbie Oz, Nita, and Tony. And after this, I will be having a sexual encounter with Katie on OnlyFans, which is Rob's wife.
Yeah.
So that should be really fun. Wow, we can see it's live right up here on the TV.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Hey guys.
Wow. Okay, cool. So yeah, of course, this is Tony Huge. That is his girlfriend, Nita. And I am Connor Murphy. This is very exciting. I've been wanting to do this type of podcast for a while. And Katie, I'm very excited for today, you know? Podcast will be fun, but the after party should be even more fun. But I want to be extremely respectful for Rob. You know what I mean? Like Jason Love, he seemed to be not so respectful afterwards, you know? He was making fun of Adam quite a lot, and he just didn't seem to handle it with the composure that I'm seeking to. So, Rob, I want to make sure, do you have any boundaries, right? Do you have any boundaries that you want to prohibit me from doing with Katie?
Yeah, well, I guess kind of we've only got a few things that are probably things that we do together. And that would probably be anal. She always kind of says, I love you in my ass, stuff like that. And probably cream pies because she's not on the pill. So, yeah, I guess that'd be the two things that kind of we reserved for us. And outside of that, it's pretty open.
Interesting. That's funny.
Do accidental cream pies happen, though? In these type of situations? I mean, how do you, Connor, do you have good enough pull-out control? Your pull-out game?
Well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll put it to the test. But you know what's interesting is that Adam 22, he set a boundary for his wife. He said that there could be no facials, right? So he said, Jason Love, please, no facials. But then Jason Love gave Lena a cream pie, which, I mean, I guess it's all subjective, but I would consider that probably a more extreme scenario.
Yeah. Feel free to give her a facial.
Okay.
I mean,
I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. So I'll try and stay away from the anal and the cream pies.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Comment says, let her peg you, Connor. Does that mean that she puts a strap on?
it does. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Have you ever done that before, Connor?
I personally haven't, but I mean, if there are enough likes, you know, maybe 10,000 likes. Or
Katie, you want to
like
take his virginity?
Yeah. Well, if I can't get fucked in the ass, I can
Oh,
put
yeah.
still
Yeah.
add
Oh, I
that
see what you're getting. So the title of the OnlyFans video can still have anal in it. It's just not.
wow.
Yeah. Like it.
Interesting. Wow. You know, I feel like I'm charging up my masculine essence by fucking another man's wife. I think that I'm allowed to, you know, have a little bit of my masculine essence lessened by taking it up the ass.
It's about balance, I think.
I think that would be fairly balanced. That would leave me kind of a net neutral masculinity, I believe. Not sure, but wow. But speaking of that, so this is wild, right? Because you seem such like a cool, confident guy. How do you feel, like, subjectively? Does jealousy ever arise when Katie is with other men, or how does that work? To me, this is actually extremely, like, admirable. See, there's some men who let their wife sleep with other people. It could come from a place of insecurity where they feel like they can't sexually satisfy their wife, sure. For you, I don't think it's coming from that place at all. For you, I feel like it's coming from, like, genuine confidence and security in your relationship. So, yeah, how do you feel about that?
Like, I think for me, I came to the realization that I know I can't give her everything. And it's the same reason that sometimes when I'm with another girl, I'm like, oh, this is different. You know what I mean? And, you know, wanting that myself definitely made me go, she's the same. There's things and there's certain, like, energies or experiences that she wants that is different to me. Like one, for example, is quite early in our relationship. She was super shy. She was like, so I've got this thing and I actually like black guys. And I could tell she was so nervous to tell me. And what was my reaction?
I know the perfect guy.
I was like, I know, I got a black guy. He can come over. And it was just like, for her, I think since then, it's just kind of been like, wow.
This is funny. This is so analogous to the Adam 22 situation. See, people are going to think that this is all just an act. It's just a skit. if you think that it's acting because I have been known to do some acting in the past, then you're going to have to go to the OnlyFans afterwards and see if it is a reality, okay? I do have an OnlyFans. Link will be in the description. We don't have it in the description yet, but afterwards we will put it in. You can find it in my link tree. Go to my Instagram, and you can find my OnlyFans. But yeah, if you're curious whether this is real or not, the answer, the solution is actually just to go search on my OnlyFans. But wow, open relationships are really interesting. A lot of people they look at them very skeptically. I have my hesitations as well. But one thing I do notice, I feel like people's sex lives in open relationships are better, right? And the reason I speculate is because, it seems like that sexual attraction is inversely related to security. So from like an evolutionary perspective, right? One of the functions of sex is to like solidify emotional bonding. So if there's like uncertainty in the relationship, right, that actually ignites the impulse to solidify the emotional bond. And so like the sex drive is higher, right? And so this is why you see in like long-term monogamous relationships, because there's so much security, the sex life starts to dwindle, right? And I feel like open relationships kind of foster that environment to let sexuality flourish, because there's always going to be that like hint of jealousy. There's always going to be that hint of insecurity because you guys are seeing other people. But the benefit of that is that your sex life is probably going to be a lot better. I mean, does that make sense to you? Am I wrong? Am I on the right track?
Yeah, totally. Like we're both always trying to, before we play with other people, we try and make sure each other's cup is filled within us, which is important. But then, we can explore and go on adventures together.
So it's about variety as well, as we were saying, like Rob is a white guy and he's not a black guy. And that was one of the varieties that I like having. Just like, I'm his wife, not an 18-year-old Asian girl that likes to be flung around, kind of, So it's having that variety in the things that you want to experience and that you want to try new things, I guess. There's always something new to try. Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is we don't rely on sex to help our relationship or our bond to be better. You know what I mean? Like it relies on all the other things, Yeah.
So this is really interesting. So there's this idea, right? So a lot of people in the red pill community, they really disapprove of this idea of women being promiscuous and seeing a lot of other guys because they're afraid that their ability to pair bond will decrease. But you have to ask yourself, is this pair bonding idea, is that really advantageous? Or is it a deeper reflection of love to be able to be with someone when your ability to pair bond is decreased, right? Because if you're relying on some sort of chemical addiction to stick with your partner, is that really love, right? I mean, if you think about it, it's no different than a drug addiction, right? You meet someone, oxytocin is released, there's this chemical reaction in your brain and it hooks you to the person. And then if you stop seeing that person, then there are withdrawal symptoms, right? Because you don't have that chemical reaction in your brain, right? And so I think that it's a greater reflection of love if you don't rely on that pair bonding, that chemical addiction, to actually love someone and be with them. You know what I mean? Which is really interesting. So, wow. See, I actually find it quite commendable for you guys both to be able to be with other people and actually go through that mental struggle sometimes. I'm sure it was, have you noticed yourself improve? Have you noticed yourself become less jealous over time going through this journey?
Well, definitely more Katie. So I've been in it for a long time. I've been in it since I was 19. So I've been in it for a long time. But for Katie, even just over the last few years since we got married, it's been beautiful seeing her go from it being quite hard at the start to now, like she filmed me doing OnlyFans scene with a girl today and then masturbated after. So it was like, she's at the point where she enjoys, being part of the experience.
Yeah. Because it's so interesting because a lot of people are afraid to allow their woman to sleep with another man because they feel like it's some sort of either an acquiescence to the girl, right? Or they're giving up some sort of their power or something like that. But there are two ways to acquire power and control, right? One is to manipulate your external environment to appeal to your specific set of limiting perspectives. And then another way to gain power and control is to learn to remain content, despite any sort of uncomfortable or negative situation, right? So there are two ways to gain power. And of course, the Eastern philosophers, the Buddhists, they're all about surrender and surrendering to reality. And if you can cultivate a mind that is at peace regardless of external circumstances, you're absolutely free. So I think it's totally admirable for someone to say, I'm going to go through this experience and try to limit my jealousy as a personal development exercise. And I just don't understand how people can hate on that. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like hating on someone for going to the gym. Like someone goes to the gym because they're trying to mend some sort of deep-rooted insecurity, right? It's the same thing. It's like if you are allowing your wife to sleep with another guy or vice versa, right? To try and go on some journey of personal development and mitigate your jealousy, I think that that's actually extremely admirable. I think it's all about your intentions behind that and where you put your mind and where you focus your attention. But yeah.
It takes a lot of courage and a lot of depth to be able to do it, because a lot of, like, in society and conditioning of the world, the way we're brought up is to think it is monogamy, or one person does have sex with just the male and female, the man wife in the relationship. But when you open it up, and like I know for myself, maybe what my parents said or what I would learn about until I actually got into this relationship. I'm like, whoa, there's so much more out there that we can explore, and it does teach you so much more about yourself. Yeah. I've always been I used to be a CrossFit athlete. I was a teacher. I've always been a very strong, and I still am, you'll say, independent alpha woman sometimes. And with the whole swinging, then that's actually taught me how to surrender and to be submissive to another male as well, and not to have to be that tough cookie all the time.
Yeah.
It teaches you to come into your own body and be like, oh, this is a nice feeling of surrendering and being submissive and allowing.
Wow. Awesome. Real quick. So the chat thinks that this is some sort of pre-recorded video. So I just have to say, this is actually live. So someone just thought that this was a pre-recorded video. I'm reading the chat right now. This is actually live. This is the first, this new podcast we are trying to do live. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So we can read chat here and there, but yeah, wow. This is really interesting. So Nita, what do you think about that? What do you think about their journey to overcome jealousy? So, 'cause I know that, describe your relationship with Tony and how jealousy has kind of arose sometimes, and how do you deal with it?
Oh, this is a good question.
Because I just witnessed it. We were just in Pattaya, and I actually witnessed you guys attempt to make it work despite the jealousy. So explain how that's been for you.
I'm jealousy. That girl, I don't know. I don't want my boyfriend. I don't want to see my boyfriend with another girl. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes I want to try, like tease some. I already tried, but I cannot. I feel I'm bad and feel bad and feel down. I cannot do that. I try to touch girl and touch my boyfriend when I have sex, right? But I cannot.
She's very open-minded to try, and then she's honest about her feelings afterwards, which is nice. Because a lot of situations, like a girl will do it, and then she's like really like mad and resentful or something. But no, she's super cool, super open-minded, like wants to learn. And I try to just teach her to be. I'm older than she is, and I've got a lot more experience than she does. So she's like willing to try. But we need some tools and we need some tips from you guys probably also.
Yeah, so something that we talk about a lot. So I'm a sex coach by trade. So I do, and the kind of open-minded people seem to gravitate towards me and say, how do we bring this into our relationship? So something that we always say is, oftentimes you think you're jealous. So you're looking at your partner doing that and you think you're jealous. But if you stop and take a second, you're actually just envious. Right? And so jealousy is like linked to being negative, but envious, it's just a normal thing. Like you're watching them do that and you're like, wow, I'd love to have that experience with them, or, stuff like that. So once you can actually stop and go, am I jealous or am I just envious? Oh, I'm envious, and that's normal. That's okay to watch him with someone and be a little envious because you want it to be you, or you'd want to be involved. And then that's where you learn the skill to either say that, or, do you guys mind if I join? Or like Katie said this to me before, she's like, baby, can I just have some time with just you for a little bit, and pull you away, because she felt that. So it's just one of those little tools.
And knowing how to communicate that as well, because maybe, when you do feel jealousy, it's your mind or your body saying, oh, this is not okay. But when you can actually just stop, take a second and breathe and be like, what am I actually feeling? And it does come down to that, oh yeah, like I want to touch him, or I want to be present with him more so than, like, you'll get angry, it'll turn into a negative emotion, you'll start fighting,
Many time I try to be that, okay, I will try him. Oh no, stop. Okay, I will try. I start him like, okay, no, fuck.
Good for trying. Good for trying.
Yeah, time I try.
You
Like,
might get better each time.
but sometimes I feel upset and get mad with him. We need to talk together. Like, yeah, I need to tell him about my feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and feel better.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So one of your strategies, it seems like, is so when envy actually like arises, it's more so like an acceptance of it. And saying,
Totally.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is really interesting because this is kind of the paradox, right? It's the same with like social anxiety, right? Because if people go into a social situation and they're trying to overcome their social anxiety and they're feeling anxious and nervous, and then they try and hide from that emotion, they perceive that emotion as negative, it's only going to make it worse. And it's actually only going to increase the social anxiety. So there's this weird paradox where at first you need to accept it and you need to become okay with that emotion and actually feel into it and actually be content with being uncomfortable. And then as a byproduct, almost as an epiphenomenon, it actually starts to dwindle. And that's kind of the paradox of the whole thing. But it's really interesting. So yeah, if you can actually be content with being uncomfortable, that's kind of the solution.
Yeah.
And then you actually reach your goal that you wanted to in the first place. But the key, that's why it's really tough. It's really a mental challenge to actually like accept it and embrace it, and then it will start to dissolve. But yeah.
It's actually the same with your penis.
Yeah.
So like when you can't get it up, if you're like try and fight it, you won't win that battle mentally. But if you go, look, he's not working right now and that's okay, I'll just relax. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, now that I'm relaxed and you're not stressing me, I'll do my thing.
Yeah, exactly. You could just make a joke about it. And
Yeah.
you have to actually be content and totally accept if my penis doesn't work, that's totally fine. And then ironically, paradoxically, it'll just start to work.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, these strategies are very counterintuitive, but this is good. This is
All right, Robbie, I need a lesson because
Yeah.
I asked you what sex chemistry you use. Do you use Viagra? Do you use Cialis, PT-141, oxytocin? I mean, there's a lot of different stuff we can take to make ourselves harder longer, better sexual performance. You clearly have excellent sexual performance, but it's natural. You don't take any of this stuff?
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I find that like we were talking about this, like I definitely make sure like my testosterone levels are right, but outside of that, it's all mental for me. So
How do you make sure your testosterone levels are all right? You like, check it?
just getting tested.
What are your testosterone levels?
like 800?
Okay, solid.
Yeah.
That's Connor
what
also.
mine
Connor's
are.
at
Yeah.
800
Recently,
right
my
now.
last test was around 820 or something like
Yeah.
that.
But Connor 5 months ago was at what level?
300.
So we got it from 300 to 800.
Yeah, that's nice.
We actually did it through, so Blue and Black Ox testosterone boosters doubled my testosterone in like 10 days. And then recently I experimented with something called HCG.
Yeah.
Right? So that actually boosts your testosterone naturally. I mean, it's a relatively unnatural substance. I view naturalness on a spectrum, right? But yeah, it's a relatively unnatural substance, maybe the most unnatural substance I've taken, but it boosted my testosterone to 820 or something like that. But I didn't feel that great on it for some reason.
Oh, okay.
I actually thought my estrogen was really high, but it didn't seem to be high. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it again. But we've done a lot of biohacking recently with the Natty Plus protocol, we call it, to try and boost my testosterone relatively naturally, while maintaining my natural hormone production. So the whole goal is just not to suppress my natural hormone production. You know?
So Robbie's got good testosterone. That's rule number one for male sexual performance. And then the rest for you is all psychological. So how do you, can you educate Connor and I on some tips psychologically of how you can control your orgasm and how you can get hard when you want to?
Yeah. So like one little we're just talking about like getting it up, staying hard, stuff like that. You can actually think about it reverse psychology, because once guys get in their head, right, they're like, oh, I had that one time, and we've all had it where you couldn't get it up, right? Just didn't work for some reason. So what I actually get all my guys that I coach to do is like, okay, with your woman or find a woman that's okay with you just making love to your soft cock. So there's no pressure. She's not putting any pressure on you. Like, what's wrong with me? Don't you like me? Why can't I get you hard? Is there? She's like, I'm just gonna make love to your soft cock, and you stay soft. It's fine. Just stay soft.
Yes, remember this.
Yeah. But it's actually really fun, and it actually feels really good, right? But the challenge is for you then, for the guy that struggles to get it up. He's then doing it, and he's trying to stay soft. And again, there's no pressure, so he can't. All of a sudden, he's hard. And in his mind, he's like, oh, it's just reverse psychology. Now, I remember that time I couldn't get it up. I tried not to, and I got it up. So it's just like things like that you can just use to that. And then we're also talking about when it comes to coming, it's crazy how many guys, like I've pretty much learned to do it on cue, and that's because I know exactly what gets me there. And it's because I've like felt into it, whether I'm watching porn or whether it's an experience. I like actually pay attention to what is it exactly in this moment right now that got me over the line.
So are you fantasizing about something in your head, or you're thinking about something right in front of you, like you're focusing on her nipples or something?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Look, for some guys, it might be staring at the nipples and like getting to know that and what position they are they looking at you, so it's just like you can fine tune what gets you there, I guess.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you gave me that tip, because I might be somewhat nervous
Totally.
having sex with your wife here in about an hour or so. Especially, I don't know, are you planning on like watching, or how does that work? Are you planning on like,
what do you want me to film, or
I mean,
like me and Tony
We
can
might need a
film?
cameraman.
it would help if we had another camera angle. It just might make it more difficult for me to get hard. But now that you gave me that tip, she can make love to my soft cock,
Well, I mean, you
And I
guys
can
could
just
even
enjoy
start
it.
without us in the room, and when you're there, you could call us in even.
Oh,
That's that's a good thing without the pressure of the moment.
We need a signal, maybe like,
I'm
okay,
ready,
we're ready.
the slapping. Okay, they're ready for us to come in.
Ready.
No, actually, I think that would actually be a really good personal development challenge if I couldn't get hard and we filmed that part, because a lot of people would
Yeah.
perceive that as somewhat embarrassing.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the reasons why I do OnlyFans, because it's actually to overcome some insecurities of mine. A lot of guys are afraid of course, being naked on camera. They're afraid how people will perceive them. I mean, all of the wild, crazy stuff I do on YouTube is like a deep personal development challenge for me to be completely free from the judgment of others, right? And just feel completely free and content despite any sort of negative, uncomfortable external stimulation, right? And so I actually think it would be great. I'm almost hoping, I want to be nervous so my cock does not get hard, and so we can actually
have that
capture that
experience.
moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And work through that and get that on camera. I think that would be great.
And it's really important, like as a female, for example, if the guy can't get hard, it's very common for the girl to be like, you can't get hard, you're sitting there, and then that puts more pressure on the male as well. But if the female can be like, it's fine, we'll just breathe, or I'll worship your soft cock, that will make the guy feel better as well. Because if a lot of men, think when they were younger, have had these experiences with girls, they've not got it up, and it actually does affect you the more you go on through life. So if you can't get it up, no stress, I'll just appreciate your soft cock.
Well, yeah, and I think that this is something that women need to understand, is that the times when I've failed to get erect, usually I'm like really into the woman, so I'm like really nervous, and that's why I can't get hard. A lot of women think, oh, he can't get hard, so he doesn't like me, right? And then they just put more pressure on the guy, and it's this horrible negative cycle, negative feedback loop, right? And so girls need to understand, if he's not getting hard in front of you, he probably really likes you, actually. And so just, be relaxed, help him out, and just chill and accept it, So wow. Very interesting.
So Kegel exercises, where you squeeze your penis muscle and exercise it. Do you? I mean, because boys and girls can do it.
Yeah.
Do you both do these to train?
Probably not.
He
No,
doesn't
not really.
yeah.
No.
So like for men who want to, this is actually a really good one. So did you guys know that men can have an orgasm without ejaculating?
Yeah,
I've
I
heard
do.
about that.
I do. I have practiced that.
Yeah. So similar sort of thing. So you can practice, flexing your PC muscle, which is what you do when you're about to come. You can flex it, block it, and it'll go back up. You can stay hard, keep going, and it'll build.
Really? So you can do that just by doing a hard enough
I'm doing it
Kegel?
right now. It's that exact moment. Yeah.
Wow.
You can do it anytime, any day. But that's like when you feel the semen coming, block it, and it'll feel like it kind of hits a wall, and then
Okay, so what is the purpose of that? I suppose that would be great for not coming inside of a girl. Maybe you could use that as a risky form of birth control. I certainly don't recommend it. But is there an advantage? Because there's a lot of benefit to semen retention, right?
Totally.
But I've heard that having that type of orgasm, the semen is still ejaculated. It just absorbs like back into your bladder and comes out in your uterus.
It's more to kind of build it. So like you might block it 2 or 3 times, and then the 4th time when you do finally go there, it's like more of a much longer orgasm. So like what we're used to is probably I'd call like a cock sneeze.
Yeah.
It's like bam, but if you can build it, and it might end up being a minute of that same feeling that you get when you orgasm.
So you're saying that doing that Kegel hold and preventing the ejaculation, you don't enter a refractory period?
No, I get harder after I block. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really interesting. Wow. You know, I've been interested. I've attempted to have one of these crazy, weird, tantric type orgasms, like full body orgasms. I actually invented this type of yoga called Primasada yoga, which is actually a combination of tantra and like pranayama breathing exercises, right? I used to do this all over Instagram, people live, they've probably seen it before. But one of the goals, actually, I wanted to experience one of these crazy, like tantric full body orgasms without even coming. And I never really achieved it. I noticed some amazing benefits to semen retention. So I would go months, I would have sex with women. I would actually do it on OnlyFans, but then I would not come.
Yeah.
Right? And so that gave me extreme amounts of energy. Probably made me a little manic, to be honest. I mean, that was more energy than I've ever had in my life. Incredible benefits to that. But I've never had the full body crazy orgasm that I've read about in these like sacred tantra books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that would be something I'm kind of interested to try that
Totally.
again. Have you heard of Primasada yoga?
I've heard of it through you.
Well,
but
because I'm the only one that's really.
I'm liking the
invented
sound
it, yeah.
of full body orgasms. I mean, that's definitely
Yeah.
something we can try.
There's always a few tantric priestesses, like we've got a lot in Australia, that will take you on a full journey and get you there.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the breath. It's all about breathing, you know, because our life force energy as our sex, and if you can bring that up through your body, you'll have that full body orgasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. So when I like to do porn, I always like to provide some sort of value other than just the sexual gratification, right? That's how I really justify it, like ethically in my mind, right? So this was the cool thing about Primasada yoga, is it taught people to like be aware. It's a meditative practice. It's really just like a trick to get people to meditate, you know what I mean? But meditate with a partner that can hold them accountable, right? It makes it more fun. And so do you actually want to try?
Yes.
Okay.
Do
Okay,
it.
cool.
Can I?
Yeah, do it. No,
Okay,
go
cool.
for it.
Awesome. So this is how it works, right? So basically, we get in this position. It's called the Yab Yum position. And then you actually get in my lap. Yeah.
Okay, like this.
Yeah.
Right over.
And this is the cool part. You can see how this could be even more fun on OnlyFans, on a uncensored platform. But yeah, so basically the idea is that this is just the standard position, and I'm going to breathe out while you breathe in. So essentially, just like meditation, we're focusing on the breath, but we're focusing on each other's breath. When you're
Okay.
just sitting alone meditating, it's difficult. You're going to have monkey mind. Your mind is going to wander. You know what I mean? You're going to be thinking a bunch of different thoughts, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes go by, and you were like, whoa, what was I was just dreaming, you know? I was just going on a daydream. But this holds you accountable because you have a partner. And yeah, so anyway, I'm going to breathe out.
You'll breathe out and I'll breathe in.
Yeah, and then we reverse. Okay, ready?
Okay.
And then we look into each other's left eye, so soul gazing. So this helps
Okay.
build connection and whatnot, you know? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, very good. Okay. We can do more of it later, but then like
Yeah.
the second move would be like breath tracing. So when I breathe out, I trace the breath down your spine. So you can actually feel the breath go in and then like down into your like sacral chakra, if you want to use those spiritual terms, you know what I mean? And then back out. So ready?
Okay.
So like, and you would do the opposite. You would trace the breath going the opposite way. So ready? 3, 2, 1. And then you can trace it on me, right?
Okay.
So I go down first, right?
Mhm.
And then you would be going
Okay,
up
up.
first. Yeah.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool, yeah.
I like that one.
Just enough to
I
get you an
like
idea,
that,
you know, just like a
yeah.
little foreplay before the,
I like
you
his
know,
muscles as well
OnlyFans
here.
video. Yeah.
A little bit of muscle going on in
Thank you.
here.
I like your muscles
Just like
too. Yeah, she's
touching.
very fit. That's why they call her It's Katie Fit. Yeah, yeah. But then we can even do more intense breathing called like shamanic breathing, right? So where you're breathing really deep and really intense. And so if anyone's ever tried the Wim Hof method, you can get naturally high from this. I mean, if anyone's ever tried the Wim Hof method to an extreme degree, it can straight up send you into a psychedelic trip. And so imagine doing that with a partner and having like a shared psychedelic experience by doing this intense breathing exercise. That can actually be magical, you know? So that was actually the first thing that I ever did with another woman on OnlyFans, was teaching this stuff. And I think it's really cool because, yeah, a lot of sex can be lacking like connection, and it can be, you know, there's a lot more ways to get additional value out of sex than just coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, for the girl, for sure, like this connection is part of the sexual experience more. You think as a man, Connor, does it turn you on to, like, definitely for the girl, it's going to turn her on, but does doing the sex yoga first turn you on also more?
It's different. I mean, again, like, we're designed to seek novel experiences, right? So to be honest, just grabbing a random stranger and just having, you know, stranger sex really quick, like a quickie with us, that's cool. That's like a cool novel experience. But then also having an amazing, wonderful like connection with someone, it's different. It's just a different experience, and I appreciate them both. You know what I mean? I don't think that people should limit themselves to like, oh, we have to have this certain type of sex, because I kind of used to do that. I was like, okay, I'm going to be really spiritual. I'm going to only have this type of sex. And I'm like, well, I think that's kind of out of balance, you know? I think that we should accept all different types of sex and realize that there are benefits to all different types of sexual experiences, you know?
It does come across as like quite taboo, you know, a lot, especially for guys. I'm just going to sit there and breathe when we just want to have the action. But if you can use your breath, just like we did then before the sexual experience, then that will boost the sexual experience.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
take us out of the mind and actually into the body and allow us to feel.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the fundamental purposes of Prima Sada Yoga, right? So you're getting in the present moment, and you can actually concentrate on the breath, but then step 2 is, as you expand your awareness, you can also concentrate on the body sensations, you know? And when you're in the present moment, and actually this is a skill, right? You can learn to be aware of more things in your present subjective experiences at once, be aware of more sensations at once. Like, awareness is just like a skill that you can develop over time, and so you can be aware of like every sort of like tingling sensation in your body, and it makes sex like way better. So in fact, if you want to have normal sex, just do Prima Sada Yoga first for like 5 to 10 minutes, and normal sex will be way better. You know what I mean? So that's one of the benefits of it too. You don't have to just do Prima Sada Yoga, yeah.
It's all about like the senses as well, like you're talking about the touch, and something that I love, maybe we could add this in as well, is the sensation play. So if you're blindfolded, it takes away one of your senses and allows you to feel more of your senses, you know, feel more touch, maybe like on your feet or the palms of your hand or behind the ears, somewhere that's not normally touched, but you can actually find a lot of pleasure and sensation in different parts of your body as well.
Yeah, have you ever imagined what sex must be like for like a blind person? Like a blind person who's blind from birth, like they've never experienced what sight is like, so they can't even dream about the sensation of sight, right? On the one hand, you know, men are very visual creatures. They were probably thinking, oh, that's so terrible, you know, but on the other hand, all their other senses are heightened. It must just be a totally different, unique experience. I've always wondered about that.
I think they'll be feeling a lot of pleasure, probably, because they're not thinking or seeing other things or what else is going on externally. They're just internally processing the feelings that are going on in the body.
And probably appreciate the energy of the other person more than their looks, which is probably kind of what we all should do, I guess. But yeah, it'd be totally energy driven,
Yeah, interesting.
So a lot of comments about the divine protein shake, Connor. So is that going to come into play?
The divine protein shake?
Yeah.
Well, let me think. So what was Rob's boundaries? So no cream pies. The facials were allowed. So, I mean, I guess that could.
She could drink the divine protein shake.
Well, I mean, I guess if I allow her to. Usually I like to drink my own divine protein shake. I mean, I just don't want to like...
Well, that's what's interesting. Wait, guys, have you ever heard of a man drinking his own semen? Is that weird you out? Like, if any, seems like not much weirds you guys out.
I guess occasionally in porn you see the girl take it and then put it back in his mouth.
Oh,
yeah, like swapping back in.
Or the lady boys like it as well, actually. Lady boys like it.
Yeah,
come in there a little bit, you know. They
cum
enjoy.
Goes in their mouth.
Yeah. They enjoy that.
So it's interesting. So one of the first reasons why I did that, it was like friendly banter to the bodybuilding community, because there's so much pent up homophobia in the bodybuilding community. It's crazy. It's like there's a necessary obsession for the male physique, and they've actually done studies where homophobia is rampant in the bodybuilding world. Yet there's this necessary obsession for the male physique that makes people feel kind of gay. So there's this cognitive dissonance in their mind. They're struggling with it, and so I was kind of doing it to kind of showcase that contradictions in people's minds. I did a whole video about it, but also, what's really interesting about the divine protein shake is that it helps overcome disgust sensitivity, right? So the tantric practitioners used to drink things like semen, bodily fluids, menstrual blood, like piss, like all these different things in order to overcome the feeling of disgust. Because in modern society, I don't believe that disgust is really an advantageous emotion. Like, from an evolutionary perspective, why do we have disgust? Well, essentially it's to prevent us from eating rotten food and getting sick and dying. But now in modern society, we have the internet, we have information, we can use logic and rationality to keep ourselves safe from that type of stuff. And disgust, there are some negative side effects of disgust. So, for example, there have been studies that shown that people with higher disgust sensitivity, so like literally like just seeing a bug and being disgusted by it, right? Or seeing shit and being disgusted by it. The people that have a higher propensity to be disgusted by that also have a higher probability of being intolerant of groups of people. More homophobic, right? More, they are disgusted by people more as well. So I think it's actually extremely advantageous as a society to get rid of our feelings of disgust. And the Eastern practitioners, meditative practitioners, tantric practitioners have known this for a long time. So that's another element of it as well, if people want to reduce disgust sensitivity. And we can get into why that might be advantageous, especially for men these days who are in total sexual scarcity because of how warped and distorted the dating dynamics are. It might be actually beneficial to decrease your disgust sensitivity, so maybe you actually expand the pool of women that you can actually choose from. But that's a whole nother topic of conversation. But anyway, maybe we can mess around with the divine protein shake. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah.
I think just to add on that to your kind of like the disgust we're talking about, I'm actually really funny with bodily fluids in the bedroom. And like, if his penis has come out, then he'll need to wash it before it touches me. I still have a little bit of, it's the feeling, or maybe also a little bit of disgust as well. So maybe
you've got to work on that. You can work on that. All right.
Touching and feeling the bodily fluids with you after.
Get past that. I like it.
Yeah, I think that is an advantageous thing to try and overcome. I think that there's a lot of benefit to that for sure. Wow.
Well, so how does she apply your psychological stair-step process towards becoming comfortable with body fluids?
Yeah, you can utilize what I call incremental comfortability expansion, right? So instead of going from like A to Z really quick, you go to A, B, C, D, right? So you do something just a little bit out of your comfort zone and then gradually expand your comfort zone. So people can do this with social anxiety, right? It's like instead of going and immediately like going up to a girl and asking for her number, you say hi to a guy, right? You just say hi, guy, or whatever, and you have a conversation with the guy and then slowly work your way up to your goal, right? And so I don't know, it would be something just a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Maybe, I don't know, just eating like a drop of semen or getting a little bit of sweat on you, or and gradually work your way up. And then you can expand your comfort zone. Because the cool thing is like, I think that's really a key to life, is like just expanding your comfort zone. Because if you maximize your comfort zone, right, if you can really become comfortable with all sorts of perceived negative situations, then essentially you're free, right? Nothing can touch you, you know? And so I think that that's one of the keys to life, is trying to expand your comfort zone. And it's like, once you expand your comfort zone in one area, that carries over to other areas as well. You treat this like a challenge, you gamify it, right? And it's this amazing sense of progression. Just like going to the gym and getting stronger every day, you expand your mental comfort zone. And it's this great sense of progression, which taps into your dopaminergic reward system. You feel really good. And it's a skill that just helps you in all different aspects of life. So.
And like for me, one of my favorite things is getting like as many girls as you can stacked on top of each other, and then going from one to the other, and we actually have a step. Because like once there's more than 3, it gets hard. So you have to have a little step. You have to think about it. But yeah. So the sharing the bodily fluids.
You just spoke
He's going
Tony's
from one to another.
That's it. Once I did that, I could never go back, and like regular sex just has never fulfilled me the same as stacking. Stacking is it?
Amazing. It is. It's a thing. Yeah.
But talking about your going from like, for me to tap into that bodily fluids, I remember, as we were saying a little bit before, stepping into the open relating world as well, as that's what we inspire people to do as well, into the whole open relating world. Is I had come from quite a monogamous background, but I just knew this world was here, and I didn't go from zero. I went from 0 to 100. So our first one of like our 4th date was at a swingers party. And there was 140 people, and I'd never really been in this industry or this world before, and I've just gone to this, and my nervous system was just all over the place and kind of like went into that shock mode a little bit. So it's just like it is taking that step by step to get into it. Obviously now it's totally fine, and I'm open to it all, but I remember the first time I went to this new experience, and it was just like, like the baby's lost a little bit. So taking those steps to get into it. I remember
so we encourage people to just fantasize about the idea first, see how it sits, like just the two of you, but talk about like, how like I could imagine you being with another guy and la la la. It's like, yeah, that's probably the
Play with
better step to do.
fantasies, yeah. Play with the fantasies, talk to your partners, watch maybe a swinger swap or watch an orgy.
Yeah, watch porn together.
Watch porn, maybe watch one of our orgies and step by step of the way, because we get the common question we get asked is like, oh, I want to step into swinging, but how can I bring up the conversation with my partner? And it's not just taking them straight away to a swingers club. It is taking the step by step. Talking about your desires or fantasies, or exploring role play or tantra, or doing different things to open awareness in your body when you go into a sexual party, because it does mirror a lot of your own insecurities and your own jealousy and wherever you're at within yourself as well, as everyone's a lot of naked, active people.
I'm sure a lot of people think that they would never go to a swingers party, and probably later they would. Like people think until they're like 40, like I would never do it, and then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, they get introduced to it, like, oh my God, why didn't I discover this much earlier? But you could go to a swingers party or a swingers bar club, and you could just watch, right? Like this, like maybe everybody should do that.
100%.
Then they
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys as professionals say like it would be totally. I've never been to one, but it would be totally cool if I just come and I just watch and just kind of gauge the vibe, right?
Totally, yeah. Just watch.
Wow.
Or the other thing you can do is you can go into a room, and often there's a chain that you can put across, and you can just be watched as well. So it's like, gives you that, and then often what happens is that couple, they'll go home and they'll have the best sex ever because they've just been watching all this live porn, and, the possibilities are flowing through their head. So yeah, you're right. Just come and watch. Or
we have a really good question here. Connor, if you love someone, why would you even want to have sex with someone else? Isn't this a way to satisfy your fantasy or desire and cover it up with a self-improvement blanket to satisfy it? So, like, doesn't love mean that you only want to have sex with one person, they're saying?
This is interesting. Is this a
Nice
guy
question.
talking? I mean, I think that most guys understand that it's like you can love a girl, but you still are craving a novel experience with a different girl. I mean, this is just sort of fundamental male
What do you mean,
psychology
really?
for sure.
Wait a second. Do you think I love you?
No, it's like I think it's about love and sex is different.
It's different.
Very
Okay,
different.
but do you think
I
I
don't
love
know.
you?
When I respect my boyfriend, like I cannot have sex with another guy.
okay, so
I mean,
so for
I
me,
cannot.
like I can watch Katie being with another guy, and I can look at that
You can?
and see her enjoying herself, and like if anything, I love her more. Because I'm looking at her going, you're just being you 100%, and you're thoroughly enjoying that, and I love you, and I like to see you enjoying yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, like rather than her wanting to do it and restricting herself because of me, like hats off to you for being able to experience it. And
Yeah.
But from your angle, Nita, like, do you feel like I love you?
Yeah.
And yet you watch me have sex with other girls. How could I love you but also want to have sex with another
No.
girl, right?
I just want you to, like, not only forget another this girl. You have to. I don't know how to explain. Like.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Yeah, go
no,
ahead.
I cannot watch my boyfriend have sex with another girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
if I feel like this girl is in relationship with me, like we have love, she respect me, I respect her, we have fun, happy, enjoy. Yeah, maybe I can.
yeah, right
Yeah,
guy.
sometimes,
Definitely,
yeah.
it's got to be the right guy.
But
yeah.
if I feel uncomfortable, I cannot.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. So it's like, okay, let's look at every guy who's in a relationship, long-term relationship, or with their wife. What percentage of them do you think are watching porn? I mean, 95% of them
Totally.
are. If they really did not want to have a sexual experience with another person, do you think that they'd be watching porn? I mean, this is just basic human psychology, especially male psychology, to crave another novel experience, right? And it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective because, I mean, the wider variety of women that a man could copulate with, the higher chance of him passing on his genetic material and having genetic diversity, right? So it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective for sure. I think if every guy is honest with themselves, they will say that, of course, they want to have sex with someone else other than their partner. They might choose not to if they think that that's respectful to their partner or they're making a sacrifice to their partner. And that's actually fine. But if you're honest with yourself, you know deep down that you want to have a sexual experience with another person.
And oftentimes when they force it down and pretend it's not there, that's when it comes out as cheating.
Yeah, exactly.
And like with us, we'd never have to worry about each other cheating.
Right.
But I think so often when you're like, no, I don't feel like that, I don't feel like that, at some stage you're going to be drunk or whatever, and it's going to come out that way, in an unhealthy way.
Exactly. That's actually why I don't like to make rules in my relationship, because one, it's going to lead to some sort of resentment usually. If you make too big of a boundary that the woman just doesn't really like, it's going to lead to some sort of resentment, and it might come out later in the future, you know? And also it's like, if you're hindering a woman from doing what she wants, yeah, one, it's going to cause resentment. And then, I mean, do you really want a woman, like, what guys really care about is what's going on in a woman's mind, you know? Like, after she sleeps with a guy, what he really cares about is she has memories of that experience, right? It's all about what happens in the woman's mind. And the woman, if you're hindering her from doing something she wants, the fantasies are just going to be coming out like more and more and more. Like, her mind is going to be absolutely consumed with these fantasies. And then, yeah, it might actually manifest as cheating later down the road. So that's why I don't really like making rules in a relationship. It's like, if you want a girl to be monogamous to you, that's great. You can find a girl like that, but you shouldn't, like, to me, it's totally disadvantageous to try and like force them to be monogamous. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these guys, especially in the red pill community, they're like, oh, you need to be firm with your girl and say, you can't go to the club. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, just have some sexual, find some sexual abundance. Like, just find a girl that doesn't want to go to the club. You know what I mean? Because if you're hindering her from doing that, it's going to cause her resentment. And it's inevitably, in the long run, I just don't think it's going to work out.
So I've known some guys that are truly monogamous, but for the most part, the guys that are monogamous, if they didn't have to be, they wouldn't be. And if they had more opportunities, they would probably take them. Like, they just don't have the opportunity. Women have opportunities all the time, and women choose usually to be monogamous. Men don't have as many opportunities as women. There's times of my life I didn't have sexual abundance. You know, and so it would have been easy for me to be in a relationship and be like, oh, yeah, I'm monogamous because I want to be. But truthfully, it's because I didn't have the opportunity to have a lot of sexual abundance. You know? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so it's funny because a lot of guys are so hypocritical. I'm definitely not condoning cheating. I just noticed this in the dating world. It's like a lot of guys, they'll paint themselves as being morally superior because they're monogamous to their girl and they never see any other girls, when the fact of the matter is they just don't have the opportunity to. And if they did, they absolutely would.
Or just imagine if your girl was encouraging you to do it. Yeah. It's a whole nother, you know,
Yeah, of course. It's like, please, seriously, like, imagine, please, is there really a guy out there who is in some sort of committed relationship and the girl is totally like, babe, please, yes, I would like it if you go sleep with another girl. And you're like, no, I love you, so I will not sleep with. That's just, there's no way. I mean, that would be like insanity. I feel like they would have to have some sort of psychological disorder for you know what I mean? So I think it's extremely natural.
Listen to this, though, comment. He says, there's something named self-restraint and self-control. If you're with a girl, you can practice this virtue and it feels great. So exactly making the point, I think, self-control. Versus not self-control. So he's admitting that he has the urge, but he's controlling himself. And why? Why control yourself? Why not give in to
I think
the
that
urge?
Well, look, I mean, I don't want to judge. I'm not sure about this guy's psychology, but I know that some people who have that mindset, it could almost be like an eating disorder. Like, why do people have an eating disorder, right? They only eat like celery and they get really skinny because they don't feel like they're in control of their life. So that one thing that they can control, they double down on that, right? And of course, that's really unhealthy. And I'm not saying that this person is operating from that psychological state. I'm just saying that that's a potential. Actually, if you want to exercise self-control, I think an amazing way to do that is go and sleep with other girls, but don't come with other girls, you know? Like, sleep with other girls, but then build up that sexual energy, right? Because there are amazing benefits to semen retention. I mean, your testosterone is going to skyrocket through the roof if you go and have sex with a bunch of other girls and don't come, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, go have sex with a bunch of other girls. Don't come, right? Be safe, but don't come, and then only come with your wife. I think that'll actually mitigate a lot of jealousy from the wife, right? And also, you'll be building up a lot of sexual energy and exercising self-control. I think that way you would get the best of both worlds. I think that would be pretty cool.
So, this is a good point. He says we control because we feel like we could lose the person. So we control ourselves out of fear that we're going to lose our partner. I think that's probably I agree.
So for me, like, I'm like I love Katie, and if she was better off with another guy, then good luck to them. That's honestly how I see it.
I feel, I treat it the
yeah.
same.
And so that has always given me I've never been worried about losing her, because I just want her to find the one that's for her, or, you know, the better off. And, you know, I guess it's also having that type of attitude means that our relationship's better as well, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times, the more you try and control someone, the more you're going to push them away.
Exactly, yeah.
This is the thing with modern day society. So men were in a position of power back when they were the only ones who could procure resources, right? And so women would acquiesce to the men, and they would be like more submissive and do whatever the men says as like a sacrifice in order to obtain those resources and ensure their chance of survival. But in modern society, when women are now, they're making their own resources, they can go on OnlyFans and make a bunch of money, you know, men don't have the power to be as controlling, right? Because why would women sacrifice their power and control if they can obtain the resources themselves, and they can obtain a bunch of like validate? A lot of people in relationships, they want validation. It was transacted, right? So if women can find all this value in other areas, it's like, why are they going to be with some controlling man, right? When they can get all the advantages of being in a relationship elsewhere. So men have to realize that it's like, okay, you could come to Asia and find a very traditional woman. You could do that, right? But I mean, man, this feminist propaganda is percolating throughout the entire world, and you're going to have to learn to be less controlling. I'm not even necessarily saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm not even making a judgment. I'm just saying that that's what you're going to have to do if you want to maximize your dating pool from which to choose from, and you don't want to be one of these 30% of guys who under 30 who haven't had sex in the past year. You know what I mean?
And it's hard to let go of that control, because the control's in the mind. And we've journeyed with this a bit of like, so Rob would shoot and have sex with someone else for OnlyFans, but I was funny about him just having sex off camera. But the aspect of the sexual encounter is the same. And so it's more of a mind game of me having that control. Oh, it's okay that if it's on camera, and it's not okay if it's not. But reality is, whether there's a camera or not, it's still the sexual encounter is still there. And so it's just letting go of that mind, or you're controlling your mind to actually, it is okay. It is fine to work with, I guess.
Wow, interesting.
So I had my girlfriend that I loved very much of a couple years, and I asked her, she'd been doing threesomes for me, and it was for me because she wasn't really bisexual, she didn't really like threesomes, but she really liked pleasing me and fulfilling me. And after doing so many threesomes, I was like, man, I feel a little bit selfish, actually. Like, she's done so much to fulfill me, and I haven't really asked her what she wants. So I got her feeling really comfortable to open up and tell me what she wants. And she said she wanted to sleep with my friend, who was a really good-looking guy. And I was like, wow. Like, all the girls are thinking this, but it takes a guy who, like, when you have so much trust that your woman can tell you what would deeply satisfy her, and she trusted me with that, and I'm like, I am not going to betray this trust. I'm going to fulfill it. I'm going to see what happens. And she loved the experience so much, and she was fulfilled in a way that she'd never been fulfilled before. She had both of us, so she had the best of both worlds, her loving boyfriend and like a guy she'd been fantasizing about. And I felt like it was the most beautiful experience ever. It crushed all jealousy. It made our relationship so much deeper to where most people couldn't even understand. Like, I understand what you guys have because I experienced it in that. And I know, because I was, and you guys were too before you found out about this, you know that like there's an extra depth of the relationship you get to there, right? But the feedback from the audience was like really negative to me, like sharing my girlfriend with another guy. It was so negative. And I can tell you guys about it, and you're like, yeah, that's awesome. And Connor would say, yeah, you overcame your jealousy. And you guys, yeah, you project to the next chapter of, you know, the human experience and fulfilling your sexual fantasies. But what do you say to the people, Robbie, who say that you're like a beta male, or you're like you're anything lesser because your wife because your wife sleeps with someone else? Like, that's a negative, because this is what happened to Adam 22.
Yeah,
this is the heart of the issue.
Yeah.
So I said how I feel about it, and maybe you have some additional angles.
Yeah, look, I think it's kind of, for me, it's only natural. So for her, like, just imagine if she's opened up and you would have went, what the, like, how could you, think about him like that? He's my best mate. She would shut that down in her so deep, and it would probably, like, she'd have shame around that probably for the rest of her life, and she might be scarred. So firstly, thank you, like, well done to be open and even to make it happen, because that's the healthy way to do it, right? So often, like, it can be done the wrong way, like we talked about cheating and stuff like that. But as far as, like, being less of a man, or I guess, like, we've let our relationship do the speaking, and like you said, it does take it to that next level. I know that I have desires for others, and it's amazing that she lets me do that. So why can't it be the same for her? Yeah. Like, it doesn't make her less of a woman because she lets me sleep with other girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this is interesting. So if
actually, women slut shame other women in this situation much more than men. It's just that the men thing is kind of a new thing. It's a trending topic, but
yeah, it seems to be okay for the guys but not for the females, and maybe that's something that within our relationship that I've noticed, because it often was Rob and the girls, and I was like, oh, I was fine with it because I am bisexual as well, and we've had quite a few of experiences with other females, and it kind of came to a point I was like, I actually want a guy. And I voiced that to Rob, and he was like, oh, it was like, oh, who would you like? What was the experience? And being able to open into that. And he appreciated that I could open up into that to have those experiences with a guy as well, and not always just a female, for example.
Yeah. I mean, I guess men and women are slightly different. Like, to play devil's advocate, I guess women from an evolutionary perspective have a greater incentive to, like, solidify the emotional bond, and they probably are more emotional creatures. So when they're with another guy, there probably is a higher propensity to have emotions involved, which could be destructive for the relationship, right? But doesn't have to be the case, obviously, right? So yeah, a lot of people kind of use that as an excuse. I don't know. It doesn't have to be the case. Obviously, it's not with you guys, In terms of masculinity, though, this is funny. So if people are worried about losing their masculinity from letting their wife sleep with another guy, so let's say we have some masculine energy here, okay? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So we have masculine energy, and you gain it or you lose it by letting your wife sleep with another guy. That means that someone else must have gained it. So who gained it? Well, I guess the guy that fucked your wife, right? So if you want to have a net positive in masculine energy, I guess you would just have to fuck more people's wives. Like, fuck two more dudes' wives, and then your masculine energy is a net positive. You know what I mean? If you want to think of it like that. Yeah. So have you fucked other guys' wives?
I haven't fucked many others. Yeah. And
But the funny thing is, he gets guys come to him and say, "Can you fuck my wife?"
Yeah.
Have you fucked more guys' wives than guys have fucked her? Or you think it's...
I've fucked more guys' wives.
Then you're net positive.
I'm alpha.
Exactly.
But like, the interesting thing is, I think most guys are worried about, he's going to do it better than me. He's got a bigger dick than me. So that is actually, like, to me, that's the unhealthy way of looking at it. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, give it your best. I know that what I give her keeps her happy, and I'm happy with that. So, like, I think that's they're worried about that, right?
And also, well, what I notice is, so for me, I can't necessarily talk from a woman's perspective, but for me, I can be with the most attractive girl. She's absolutely incredible, right? Perfect body, perfect face, 10 out of 10. But if I am fucking her for many, many months, like, I will still want a novel experience. It doesn't matter how good she is at sex. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is. I'm still going to want to pursue some novelty, So I think that guys kind of have to understand that too. Again, I'm not a woman. I can't really speak from a woman's perspective, but yeah, they probably want that novelty as well. It's just kind of more suppressed by society. Maybe not as much as a guy, because there is an evolutionary advantage more for men to do that, I suppose. But I think that women want that too. It's just more suppressed. So men have to realize that. It's like, yeah, you have to kind of be okay with that fact, I think.
Yeah, I do think males, well, from our
experiences rather than, yeah.
Wow.
Because I think, like, there's something special about having sex with someone new for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, I just, like, and I'm open to that. Like, Katie knows, and it's part of why I like Asia. Like, I like that kind of shy, that comes out, and you get to know them really well in the bedroom. And I think that you get kind of good at bringing out the kinkiness in them. Mm-hmm. And, like, oftentimes you only have that first experience, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something certainly special about the first experience, I mean, there can be something really special, too, about continuing to explore with your partner, and you can achieve certain things over time that you couldn't that first experience. But there's something really special about the first experience, too.
And that's interesting because that might also be a male perspective just from my own experience. But I've had sex with someone for the first time. And, you know, you start from my experience, you're starting to get to know them. So you're kind of learning more. But then the second time you come to do it, you've kind of learned a bit more so you can take it to that next level. That's my personal way of doing it. So, you know, tonight could be day 1 and maybe tomorrow can be episode 2, you know. But
Oh, all right.
Oh,
all
wow.
right.
You want this to be like a consistent...
like rate it
Oh,
the
wow.
first time versus the male
you
female.
know,
Okay.
the more you learn about a person, the more you learn what the person likes, how you can bring that in as well.
What I'm interested in more than anything out of this is, Katie, I want to learn from you. I want Nita to learn from you. Like, you're well spoken, you're experienced, and you can tell us from a women's perspective, like, what it is you're feeling. What does he do that you like? What do you don't like? You could probably vocalize all this. Maybe during the moment. I don't know. Do you talk during sex a lot?
Yeah, definitely.
Thought so. Yeah.
And then it probably took me a while to get there, but after my work and the studying I do within sex coaching, sometimes it's because we just genuinely don't know what we're feeling. As women, we suppressed a lot of emotions and never had these experiences to feel. And so we're in a moment maybe getting overwhelmed and that anxiety will take over rather than being like, how do I actually feel? And so, for example, within sex, whether it's too deep and you're like, oh, it's just a bit of, just a little bit too deep. Can you just lift your hips up, or let me put my legs down, or slower or faster, and actually communicate what you like rather than being kind of just a robot sitting there and taking it, because that's going to affect your experience of how you're enjoying sex. So the more I can, and I'm a good communicator, so the more the more I speak into what I want, the more I'm getting back what I want.
Yeah, if I'm ever going like too deep into
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, but it's the only way. It's the only way to know. If they don't say something, you'll never know. Like I've literally sat with 3 girls and done pretty much an interview like this before we did a scene, and one of them was like, you got to go down on me hard, lick me hard, like get in there. The next one's like, no, just touch my clit, like just touch it. You don't need to. If I didn't know that, like you just don't know that, you know what I mean? And every girl's different, and even she might be the same tomorrow, but tomorrow she might not want that. So you've really got to get used to having those little conversations.
This is my struggle in Asia, is Asian girls don't like tell you what they feel. And it's more about, to them, it's more about pleasing the man, which that's great. But I also want to like learn and I want to make sure she's satisfied. And I have a question. How long does it take you to climax, Katie? Because some women take a long time, sometimes short time, sometimes easy, sometimes
You've got
hard.
to get the right spot. I go through stages. Like, it's actually interesting at the moment. I'm only kind of climaxing or coming with help at the moment. So maybe like a finger inside with my toy, or like double at the moment. Generally I can with maybe just a toy or just penetration. But if you've got the right angle, the right position, or the right rhythm, then I can, orgasm climax more than...
But like 20 minutes?
It's a ball, no, quicker than that. Maybe like
finger inside where, like vagina or
in the we could try that. in the vagina. I don't know, like under 10 minutes, easy. Under 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes even under 5 I could get there. Yeah. And I think that's because, for example, if my goal is to climax, I know what's going to get me there. So I will maybe, feel into my body and breathe, and like use my toy or have sex to think about or feel or to see what I want and to have that climax. Or I could go like, enjoying the pleasure, enjoying the road before getting to the destination of 20 minutes.
And Rob, how fast can you finish? Like if there's a stopwatch, because you've got good control. It's like, all right, go. How long does it take you to climax?
Probably like within a minute.
Wow.
And when you finish, when you come, how many times you can come first?
It depends what I've been doing. So I try and only ejaculate if I can, like minimal amount, but I can do 2 scenes in a row if I have to. I can come and then go again and do another scene. But that's why we teach the blocking, so I can still get the feeling of the orgasm, but I don't actually have to do it. But like probably my best thing is squirting. I can do that in seconds. I can make a girl that's never squirted, I can make her squirt in seconds. Like we've seen it so many times. She'll just go, nah, it's not possible. It's not a thing. It's made up. And then I will have her squirting within seconds.
That's
Have you
interesting. I'd
made
like
a
to see
girl?
that.
Can you make a girl squirt?
Yeah, I've made a lot of girls squirt that haven't never squirted before in their life.
Oh.
I guess I can attempt to do so. On
Yeah,
you. I don't
we
know if that'll be as
could.
good.
Because he's probably
As
the
Rob.
only person who has made me squirt. No pressure. No pressure.
But you could now you could perfect your skills. Like maybe there's one little element you're missing, Connor, to be like a squirting veteran, and you could.
But it is funny because do you think it's possible for essentially every girl? Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. You know, a lot of girls. Oh, I'm not a squirter. Well, you probably
haven't
just
unlocked
haven't
it
had
yet.
the right technique. Yeah.
Yeah.
But probably the biggest tip we'll give you guys that you can try right now is standing up.
Yes. Yeah.
Get the girl to stand up. You're using gravity. So oftentimes if they can't squirt, they're tense in their core, and that's why they can't, right? So if they're standing, they're tense in their legs. And even get them to bend over you a little bit, and you're like on your knees, putting your hand up like that, just pulling down, just that's literally all you're doing. And just let gravity do it, and let her kind of flop over you, and then it just comes out.
And the liquid that comes out, what is it?
It comes through the same path as pee. So sometimes there is some pee in there, but it's not actually pee. It's just...
What is it?
Yeah.
Bodily
comes out-
fluids.
Can you, okay,
comes-
give me
there-
some. We're gonna
It
HPLC
comes out.
test
There's
it.
liquid from a specific
The gland,
gland,
yeah.
right? But then it's also, I think, mixed with urine. But again,
So the more
'cause
you
it passes
squirt,
through
the
the
maybe
same
the more your
hole.
body could make. Like if you notice a girl like the first time she squirts, it's less,
It's
and
a-
then more.
no,
and
it's
more
a
it
lot.
builds. Oh, it's a lot.
So-
They've been holding it their whole
Yeah,
life.
exactly. So you've got to think about a guy like, and I've seen some girls when the first time they've squirted, they've cried, they've screamed, they've yelled because it's such an intense thing. 'Cause-
Full body release
yeah,
for a woman. Yeah.
just imagine as a guy, you haven't orgasmed in 30 years, and it's kept building up. When it finally comes out, it comes.
a lot of girls, when I make squirt, they're like terrified. They're like embarrassed. They're like
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
just
they're afraid
happened?
that I'm going to be
Yeah.
disgusted by it. You know, obviously the sheets are absolutely soaked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, if guys are disgusted by girl squirt, again, you need to learn to overcome your disgust sensitivity. I think that'd be a very advantageous
Yeah.
move. You know what's it's wild in tantric practices, they used to drink that, or they probably still do drink it. It's called amrita, they call it, you know, like the nectar of the goddess or something like that. So they believe that it had some sort of psychedelic properties or something like that, which is really
Because
interesting.
it's all our own. It's all coming out of us.
Yeah.
It is that, you know, I haven't done it myself, but especially like,
It's
you know, period
the
blood.
female
Like
divine
they
protein.
put that on their cheeks and, you know, really tap into that essence of the fluids of the body, let's
That's
say.
something that would be really viral if I could make her squirt and then drink her amrita.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Like the
Help.
female divine protein.
Yeah, because
I
honestly,
would taste it. I would taste it. I don't know if I could drink it, but I would taste it.
oh,
to
that's good.
start
That's a
with,
step.
You know? That's a step.
Incremental comfortability
Yeah.
expansion in order to reduce your disgust sensitivity. I mean,
I would
to me,
taste it.
I'm not necessarily excited about doing it. To me, there is still probably a little hint of disgust, but I would definitely do it to overcome my disgust sensitivity because I don't think that I've definitely never like put it in a cup and drank it
Drank
before
it,
or
yeah.
anything like
You'd
that.
probably have to like lick it off the floor or something.
Oh, and
Katie,
that'd
since
be
you
fun.
don't like body fluids so much, did I hear sweat? One of those? You don't like sweat, or a man sweating on you? Good or bad? Or
If I'm sweaty, if I'm in it as well, yes. But for example, today I was actually filming Rob in a scene, so maybe halfway through, so he was sweaty, and I actually just jumped in, but I was not sweaty at all, and so I felt that. I was like, you know, you could feel it, and I could feel myself being like, yeah, but I had that maybe bit of disgust, and I was like, it's just sweat, it's just water, and I can have a shower after. But initially, sometimes it does come. But if I'm in the moment, if I'm sweaty as well, then there's no problem. But it's if I'm the opposite, I guess.
to have a towel ready to dry on.
Yeah, so you,
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's interesting. So if I was going to choose like a girlfriend or something like that, someone or a long-term sexual partner, actually a deal breaker for me is if they're disgusted by sweat. Because me personally, a lot of times, well, depending on the type of sex we'll have, I'll get into it a lot and I'll be really sweaty. In fact, I hate cardio. So I like to utilize sex as my cardio sessions, you know? So sometimes I like to have really long and sweaty sex. And I actually like sweat. I think it's pretty hot. Like if both of us are sweaty, I think that's pretty hot. And if a girl's not into that, that can be definitely a deal breaker.
I do love it when, for example, we were in the sauna. We had a sauna back in our gym in Australia, and it was a bit of a private one, but they were both sweating. We're both in the sauna, and we'd often have sex in the sauna. I loved it. You know,
Oh,
it's
so
because
like-
the heat of the body, and you know, you're so much. I'm quite sensual with my senses, so I like to feel that. So if I'm in my body feeling that heat within myself, and we both were sweating in the sauna having sex.
Did you ever
And we
do
filmed
group-
it, by the way.
Okay, that was a one-on-one, right? So
Yeah,
did you ever do group stuff in a sauna or a steam room? Because that sounds pretty hot.
Yeah, we can make
Literally
that
hot.
happen. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
make that happen. Yeah, that's the next scene. Yeah. Yeah, no, we haven't,
No, we
done
haven't
group
done
in a sauna.
group
but
in a sauna.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
But it could be, that's a possibility. Okay, we'll put that on the list.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So you think, are we going to start out in the room and then they come in later and film and watch? Or what?
Yeah, I think we'll have to,
Do you think?
I'm going to worship your soft cock first.
Wow.
You know, just to...
And Connor, you got to try to keep it soft. That's the
Yeah.
soft
Yeah.
cock is you got to
Come
try.
back and play with their ass if Rob doesn't. He doesn't see. You think?
Seems pretty fun.
Oh, but yeah, wow. I think that we can do some interesting stuff. Yeah, maybe some stuff we don't film or something. I don't know. Yeah. Wow.
Real quick, what is the boundaries again?
Hmm?
What are the boundaries? How does it work? How does it work? I have no idea. Do you just in the moment you said, or do you like make a list, or how technical is
Probably, I think the cream pie and the anal.
Yeah, we normally
But
talk
no
before
anal,
as
no
well.
But you don't really want to do them anyway, do you? Or do you want to do them with Connor? I don't know.
it? Anal.
I'm
The
kind
cream
of
pie
like
and the
feeling
anal.
the anal. Like,
That
it's
does
kind of
sound
turned
really
me
fun.
on a little bit.
Sound
She
really
wants
fun.
anal.
So you want to do anal with him?
It's kind yeah, it's turning me on.
That would be pretty fun. I could make you like squirt while I'm like giving you anal or something.
Babe.
Please? Is that okay? Please?
But when we came here, you said,
But I've just kind of got turned on by it. And like, I've never really done it before.
all right, yeah, do it. It's all good.
Well, I haven't done it before though, like with someone else. So,
You think Edie really got upset? You think that made him upset?
well, I always say that I only do anal with him. I'm like, no one else goes in my arse. So maybe he
Have
did.
you ever done a scene before? You know, scene?
No, I've never done an anal scene without him.
Oh man, maybe that did get to him. I
Okay,
mean-
I think that's a cut. I think you're gonna go to do your scenes in the bedroom, and ooh, this could be dramatic. This could be
Okay.
Maybe we'll
dramatic.
just get Tony to film.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, maybe Tony just film or Nita can help out filming or something.
Huh?
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's gonna be a drama explosion. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Cutting
Anyway,
the video.
okay, a little unexpected at the end there, but guys, thank you for watching this. I don't know what to say. Okay. All right, part 2 on OnlyFans, I guess. Okay, sorry about that ending, guys. I'll see you in the next one. And yes, part 2 is on OnlyFans. I'll be releasing a YouTube video too about this stuff. Yeah.